Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and today we're checking out the Benchmade Shootout for our first impressions. Now, I have been using this, and I do want to thank Chris for sending this to me. So, shout out to Q-Ball for letting me check out his Benchmade Shootout. He did get it secondary, so it was a bit used when he got it, but he's letting me check it out. Now, there's a lot of things I like about this. Of course, I have some negatives. They will be towards the end. Now, one, this thing has amazing blade geometry. And I think this knife was made to be a tool, a cutting tool. Unlike some OTFs, which are mostly for self-defense type of purposes. Of course, you can use them as, a cutting tool because that's what it is. But they're usually more lean towards that. I think this one's more lean towards a tool, and then, the other maybe secondary as like a self-defense. And the blade steel is in CRUWEAR. I absolutely love CRUWEAR. CRUWEAR is a steel that takes an incredible fine edge. Well, let me be clear. It takes any edge you want to put on it. If you want to put a toothy edge, that's great. If you want to put a medium grit, great. Fine edge, doesn't matter. But it has the ability to hold a fine edge very well. So, and that's what I really like about it. So if you do want to put a fine edge on CRUWEAR is a great steel to put a fine edge on. Or toothy edge, whatever you want to put on it. But its edge holding ability, its fine edge holding ability is really, really good. It doesn't have a very long working edge holding ability, but the fine edge holding ability is really, really good on it. So that's one reason why I really like it. They did sharpen it up pretty decently. They put a decent edge angle on it. So, right from the factory, this still has a factory edge on it. It is about in time for a new edge though. And they did put a beautiful sharpening drill and plunge grind on it. That is something that a lot of OTFs miss, so I'm very happy with that. It seems like a knife that was made to be used. I like that. The steel, the geometry, the ergos, the sharpening choil, all that good stuff. It seems like a knife that's supposed to be used and sharpened and worked with. And I really like that. It has amazing cutting geometry, very thin blade stock, and it gets down to about 14, 15 thousandths behind the edge right here. And then, because it is a tanto, as it goes up to the tip, it gets up to about 30 thousandths at the tip. So amazing cutting geometry. And the handle is a polymer handle, so basically like a tough plastic. And up here at the top of it, it has this texture which feels just like sandpaper. It feels like skateboard tape. So it's going to really lock you in. The ergos are very, very comfortable in the hand. Possibly one of the most comfortable OTFs I have felt just squeezing in the hand. Deep carry clip that is reversible, and then it has a glass breaker on the back, for those types of purposes. Lots of texture on the handle, but not too much. Even with this like skateboard tape type texture, it still feels really, really good in the hand. The action and the button, nice big deployment button. It's very well done. You have a nice big ramp there, so you have a great pushing point. Lots of leverage that you can push into this thing back and forth. And it doesn't have a ton of resistance. You can see I'm doing it with my pointer finger. A lot of them you cannot do that with because the resistance of the spring is just so strong. So this one has what you would call a lighter spring. And I'm not saying lighter like it's going to deploy in your pocket or anything like that. That's ridiculous. It's not going to go off in your pocket, but it's much easier to do. And I think a lot of people that have never really handled OTFs don't understand that concept of how strong a lot of OTFs are to deploy. In many cases, when you get them new, you have to use two hands just to deploy it. This one is not like that. It is very easy to deploy, very easy to put back, and feels, very consistent. And like I said, the jumping on the deployment button is well textured, feels really good. Now, as far as using it goes, yes, good geometry. It's going to cut really good. It's going to pass through materials really good. I'd love to see this in other blade shapes, but There are some negatives though, and one of the negative things is because this is a polymer handle, this thing is so light, it feels like a toy. It literally feels like a toy. I feel like I'm gonna break it. Even when it's deployed, there's lots of rattle and tap from the blade, which a lot of OTFs have. So I'm not saying that this one has it and other ones don't. Most OTFs have rattle and tap. So that's normal. However, the feeling of the weight is not to me. This is almost too light to me. It almost feels like a toy. Now, I understand the concept. It's supposed to be a tool, so something you can toss around the job site. You don't have to worry about scratching it or messing it up. But I just, when you want to be tough on a tool, this one feels like you could break it. Now, I'm not saying that that's true. I'm just saying the feeling. So there's a difference there. I have no doubt that this isn't tough. I have no doubt that this couldn't handle a lot of work and a lot of torture and all that stuff. No doubt. I guarantee it could. But the feeling you have in the hand, it's so light, it almost feels fragile. But I know it's not. I know it's tough. So maybe you might consider that a good thing because you're like, man, it's so lightweight and yet so tough. Very cool. But that feeling in hand when I'm cutting and using it, I can feel the blade, the little bit of movement from the blade. So you have that. And then the lightness, I don't know. It just feels kind of cheaply made. But I know that that's the point of it. So I get it. I personally wouldn't use it as a hard use knife, but as a knife that's, being used as for cutting purposes only and as a cutting tool, I think it will be just fine and would do really well. And like I said, this geometry mixed with the steel, I love the steel. CRUWEAR is an amazing steel, so, I like the thought of it. I love, where they went with it, but I would personally love to see one with like an aluminum handle or maybe even a G10 handle. Yeah, G10 handle. Because this polymer stuff to me, it's just too plasticky. It feels like a toy, like I said. So, and for $270, $280, USA made. I do think it's well built. Benchmade made it. Good warranty. But the money, $270, $280, it does seem a bit much, for CRUWEAR and some plastic. So that's tough. That's tough. But if you like the way it looks and you're looking for an extremely lightweight OTF that's reliable and, can handle a lot of work and has good cutting geometry, this right here, you don't have to worry about babying it because, even though it is plastic, this plastic's not going to scratch or anything like that for the most part. I mean, it might scratch, but you're not going to have to worry about it looking all beat up if you toss it around a little bit. It's something that can handle that type of stuff. Oh, and by the way, with these glass breakers, if you don't like a glass breaker, then you can get a replacement. OCD for EDC makes, and he's got a video on it where you can take this apart, and he's got a replacement piece that you can buy from his website. I'll link it down in the description, and you can put the replacement right in there. So that's very cool because the clip works great in and out of the pocket. Benchmade clips usually do, but when you're putting it in the pocket, when you're slipping it in, you can't help but touch that little pokiness, from the glass breaker, and it can become annoying. Some people like it, some people don't, and if it's something that you would want to get rid of, you can easily do that and get a replacement piece for that. But anyways, just a quick look at it. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.